There are two things I know for sure. One, apples are the official fruit of fall. I don't know if that's true, but it should be. And the second thing I know for sure, I need to shave. This video is part of my 2021 Thanksgiving series. So if you haven't seen the rest of them, check it out. There's a playlist. I think it's up there or down there. It's somewhere. There's a playlist of Thanksgiving recipes for this year, so find it, check it out, but do that after you watch this video. Today we're making apple fritters. It's a donut. It's got fruit in it. It's got real fruit in it, so you can pretend it's healthy. How about that? I'm just looking out for you, trying to make your life a little more comfortable. So let's do these. They're delicious. Let's get it done. We're going to start out with 2 Granny Smith apples. Beautiful, delicious. We're going to peel them. And then once we peel them, both of them, we're going to cut them in half. And then we're going to run our knife down and cut them into quarters. There we go. Now use your knife carefully and remove that hard core from the middle. That's the only time you don't want a hard core. 1/4 inch dice, cut it a 1/4 inch lengthwise, turn it 90 degrees, then cut it another 1/4 inch. We'll have this beautiful dice. Look at that. Now I'm going to transfer that to a bowl. While we got our pan ready, look at that beautiful knife. You look at that. You want that knife? There's a link down below. You can get that knife. It's beautiful. So now in a large frying pan, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of butter, crank it to medium-high heat, and then let that butter melt. But we're not just going to melt the butter, we want to toast the butter. We want some nutty toast. So once it starts smelling nutty, add your apples. Give it a stir. You're going to stir it periodically and cook for 2.5 minutes or so until they just start to soften on the corners. Then we're going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. Give it a nice stirring, and we're going to cook again, same style, stirring often, for another 2.5 to 3 minutes. Once it starts to get a little golden in color, you know it's done. Shut the heat off. I'm going to transfer this to a bowl and then put it in the fridge so it cools down while we move on to preparing our dry ingredients. So our dry ingredients, 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of the kosher salt. Come on, cue the kosher salt. There we go. We're going to go 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, and then optional 1/8 teaspoon of ground fresh nutmeg. I don't use nutmeg for food allergy reasons, so you can add it if you want. It adds delicious flavor. I personally like it, but others that I'm serving this to can't, so use your own judgment. The wet ingredients, we're going to go with 1/2 cup of white sugar. Add to that 1 egg, a whole egg, and then you're going to beat it. I love the way this, it like stiffens up and then it becomes loose. It's kind of fun. Look, simple things amuse me, okay? Now once we have that mixed up, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of melted butter. Not screaming hot, just hot enough to be melted. What I'll do is I'll melt it early and then let it sit and so it's nice and cool. Because you don't want to cook your egg. Then we're going to go 1/2 cup of sparkling apple cider. That's going to add a little bit of lightness to it. Make it nice. Look at that. Whisk it for the biscuit. Although we're not making biscuits, we're making fritters, and they are an entirely different thing. Now we're going to add our wets to our dries. So pour it out. Get it all out. Waste not, want not, you know. Saving money's making money, all that good stuff. And then we're going to add our apples, which have cooled down a bit. They could still be a little bit warm. They don't have to be cold. You just don't want them piping hot right off because you drop it in and then it cooks the egg and then you have funky fritters, and nobody wants funky fritters. So now we're going to give this a nice solid mixing. Make sure everything's incorporated. Now, as you get all that flour hydrated, you're going to want to pay attention because if it's a little too loose, you can add a little bit of flour. If it's a little bit too dry, you can add a little bit of cider, you know, maybe a teaspoon at a time, just to get it to the right consistency. You want kind of like pancake batter, kind of like that. That's what we're going for. Right there. All right, so Before we fry them up, we're going to mix up our glaze. So into a small bowl, we're going to add 1/4 cup of confectioner's sugar, and to that we're going to add 1 tablespoon of the sparkling cider. Did I mention this has an apple cider glaze? I don't know if I did. There we go, we add that in, now get our little whisk, and we're going to mix that up. You want this to have a fairly thick consistency. Hindsight being 20/20, I probably should have added a little bit more confectioner's sugar to tighten it up a little bit. You'll see later it kind of more absorbs than sits on top, although it was still incredibly delicious. You want a nice thick mixture. Like glue. Delicious glue. Better than what I ate in kindergarten. So get that fully mixed. Now we're going to fry. So in at least 1 inch of oil, maybe a little bit more. You want to crank it up to 350 degrees. Make sure you regulate your heat. And then using 2 spoons, we're going to drop our fritter batter in the oil. Just like that. You can smoosh it down a little bit if you need to flatten it and even it out, because you want even thickness so it cooks evenly. These smell so good. So good. There we go. Try not to make a mess like I did, but then again, we all know I'm sloppy. There we go. We're going to let them fry for about 2 minutes or so. And then we're going to give it a flippy flip once it's golden on the bottom. Then we make the bottom the top, and the top the bottom. And make sure you use the right implements. I couldn't find my spider for some reason, so I'm using this spoon, and it was a little difficult. So make sure you have the right tool for the right job. And that may have been what she said. Yeah, I struggled. Come on. It's almost painful to watch. It was painful when it happened. It's almost painful to watch after the fact. Anyway, so 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Beautiful fried. You're going to let them drain on a wire rack. And then we're going to glaze them. So that delicious glaze we made with that apple cider and that sugar. And look at that. Look at my glaze. And keep your mind out of the gutter, you pervs. I told you got to go to OnlyFans for that. So, get a nice drizzle. I like the drizzle look. So, we're going to drizzle it on. And then, because we're fancy, we're going to sprinkle on a little bit of cinnamon sugar just to finish it off. Give it a nice texture on the top. So, that's it. Now, we're going to put it on a plate and stuff it in our face.
You can't tell me you don't want that in your mouth. I know you want it in your mouth. I want it in my mouth. Now I'm going to put it in my mouth. There's still some crispness on it. Whoa. Those are good. Little cross section. Nom, 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 nom. So how's that for a unique Thanksgiving dessert? I mean, no one's going to expect this. They're going to expect Aunt Marge's pumpkin pie that she picked up at the store 2 days ago. Somebody may bring an apple pie, and while that's acceptable, you can put ice cream on this too, and it's absolutely delicious. So if you tried this out, let me know how you did. Drop it down in the comments. If you want to see me make something, I take suggestions. Drop that down in the comments. You want to tell me I suck? Drop that down in the comments too. The most important thing is that you subscribe to the channel and smash that like button, you know what I mean? I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next one.